Thank you.
Well, probably quite a thing for people to see you out of costume or out of character, isn't it?
Yes.
You're looking very smart.
Nice socks, by
Oh,
the way.
yeah. So I know where my feet are. I always think it's quite a good idea.
Great.
But is it different if you're in character, actually? Because if you're facing an audience, you're someone else, really, when you're on the stage.
Yeah. It's different because, of course, there's nowhere to hide. In Orfeo, there's not much costume, there's no makeup really, just that thing that I put on my face. So it's pretty naked, that role.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of recitals, and that's also
Yeah.
very much face-to-face.
Well, Orfeo, of course, at the moment, which is, I don't know how many of you have seen it already, it's just fantastic. I thought it had such verve and energy and originality. But as you say, there is nowhere to hide because you as a character are exposed so much, aren't you?
Yes, I'm the whole time on stage, and they didn't spare me because they wanted me even more time than I should have. So for the whole time, in the end, I'm there. But I think it makes sense. The story makes sense. The interpretation of the plot makes a lot of sense.
John Eliot Gardner and his English Baroque soloists on the stage going up and down behind you. When I saw the orchestra on the stage, I'm afraid my heart sank. But after about a minute or two, I just thought this is magical because they were so woven in somehow.
It's difficult to get used to the fact that they are behind you, and you cannot see them, and you cannot hear them so well, and the conductor cannot see you.
Apart from that,
everything went well.
But that's a real practical difficulty, isn't it?
It's a lovely challenge. I love challenges, and that was a challenge, really. Yeah.
Normally, the role is either very high tenor or countertenor or a mezzo. That's what I suppose people have been used to.
Yes.
It's very different doing this. Was that more demanding, do you think? Or dramatically better?
Well, dramatically, it's great. It's amazing. But the difficulty is the role tessitura is very, very high. I don't know if there's anything higher than that. And
you've got to go out of your comfort zone, really, haven't you?
Well, but I have to stay there for a long time.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I like to go there, but eventually come down, like the orchestra, you know. But I stay there. And when I think J'ai perdu mon Eurydice, that's not so high, which is great, because that's how you can really pour your heart, you know? Yeah. Because it's high but comfortable. In J'ai perdu, that's lower, and that's more manageable. There are points in which you have to be really careful not to wow the notes, you know, because you have to control them because they are so high. And yeah, but it's such a lovely, and I think it helped me, the fact that everything is in his head, and whatever it happens around, all that craziness, is in his head, because he has lost, you know, his wife, and he cannot accept that loss, and he goes into a process. And then in the end, he accepts the loss. Yeah. And that's what happens. And he has to go into this journey to accept it. Yeah. And this journey is all this craziness. He almost gets crazy, but in the end, he lets her go. So Eurydice is never, she never resurrects. She never comes back to life. He lets her go. And I think it's a great point of view, and I think it's more humane and more, it's easier to relate to.
Well, I mean, you're married, you've got 2 children. I don't know what this makes you do. 4.5 and what, 1?
And 1.5, yes.
Lisa is 1. So I mean, things like that then must have an impact on you, mustn't it? Does that make it
Oh, yes.
either more difficult or easier to identify with a potential loss?
Of course. I mean, if you have to be careful, because if you think it's happening to you, of course you have to think that. But if you can really go into I go into tears like 3 times during the show, but if you really, go into that, if you think that is really your wife and you don't sing anymore, you start like becoming, and we have to sing. This is the real difficult thing. We have to sing. We don't speak. We don't say, oh, I heard this, and we can cry and all this. We have to sing beautifully and in style. And the fact that we are singing Glück is so difficult because it's so pure and so melodic, and you have to start soft and then soft, and there's conventions about singing that. So this is many things to take into account. Yes,
I think we all realize that, but it's the consummate artist. We can sit there and we don't worry about what you've gone through in a way to get there. It's what appears.
And that's the beauty of singing, that singing is not real. It's not really natural. I mean, singing a story is not natural. The fact that, it's so funny, the fact that at a certain point Orfeo has to sing, so the Furies get calmer and they let him go to the paradise, let's say, and Orfeo has to sing. He's always singing anyway, so at a certain point he sings. So this is strange things.
Well, singing has a magical effect. Your singing has a magical effect on people. So it's not too far from Orfeo. When you land, well, I didn't mean land on J'ai perdu, but the famous aria, which we all feel we know, and I'm sure there's a gasp around the audience, and everybody thinks, here it is. Is that a relief for you, or is it a bit more difficult because everybody feels they know it so well?
It's hard because I wanted to do it very true and not to think so much.
Not as a set piece, not exactly. Here comes the big hit.
Exactly, because it all is born with the story, She's there and he sees her moving and wow, she's really back to life. And then he says, come on, let's go. No, but he cannot look at her. This is terrible and difficult to play, because you have to really look the other side. Otherwise, if you look at her legs, the audience reads that you're looking at her.
Yes.
So it's really, you have to really do this. And she's always trying to, and you're like, no, and she's like, yes. She's like, I'm gonna die. I prefer to, why did you wake me up? I was very good in death. I was in paradise and I was, whatever she was doing.
Selfish man.
She said she was great. Why you wake me up in order to give me this suffering?
Yeah.
And I cannot explain why I cannot look at her. So this is really terrible. And in the end, I look at her because I said, no, the gods don't want this really. Let's look at her. She dies. And I really am despaired, and all this singing comes from that. So the last time, it's the first time is really as the recitativo, I'm in desperation. I have killed her, and this is the first verse. The second verse is more tender because he's with her and cheek to cheek, and she's dead. And the third one is really a rage. Is blaming destiny, the gods, whatever,
This production manages to keep the balance between drama and a lot going on with the Furies and the wonderful dancers on the stage, and you as the sort of central figure, because that could be, too much business could easily sweep away the desperation that you purvey so well.
Yes, it's true. I wanted to dance, as I told you, but they didn't let me.
He wanted to dance. He wanted to dance to I Have Lost Eurydice. Can you believe it? You can try now if you like.
I said, better not. Yeah, I was admiring the dancers, and I think I've learned. The fact that the opera house pulled these 3 components, the dance, which is just not from the opera house, and the orchestra, and us. Well, this is 2, but us, we are always a third force. which normally, when you come here, you work with the orchestra and with the chorus. But this was people that never, three, the chorus, the orchestra, and the dancers, the three. So they were all so happy to work for the first time at the Royal Opera. So for them, it was giving the most of it.
Yeah.
And we worked honestly, very, very honest, and feeling it. And Gardiner is such a, he wants to get it right, and he pushes you and gets the best of you. And we had musical rehearsals, which I love, and which is not usual anymore. Maybe you have one time with the conductor at the piano, and he tells you, okay, here, wait for me, and here, please, I count 1, 2, and then you enter. And that's terrible. Now, with Gardiner, you are working with the music, finally, and with the words, and with the feelings, and everything. And that makes, in the end, the passion that the audience reads and feels. And that's the same for the dancers. They were dancing, their life off there. And every day rehearsing and dancing full voice, let's say. And we also, of course.
Yeah, you felt all your heart. John Eliot Gardiner's second Orfeo this year, of course, because he did Monteverdi's Orfeo at the Proms, which again was absolutely magical. So he was definitely in the right mode.
There's a funny thing. At the rehearsal, there was somebody came to the stage, and Gardiner says, "Oh, that's my Orfeo, that's my Monteverdi Orfeo, and this is my Gluck Orfeo." And there was a guy there, and Gardiner said, let's see how you sound in Monteverdi. So Gardiner asked the guy to sing a phrase, and he sang that phrase. I said, "Now you do it," and I did it. I said, "Okay, you're fired." Oh, that's funny.
Oh, so wonderful. So a whole new career in early music.
I would love to.
Yeah, but you couldn't you? Or could you? If you're developing the voice, if it becomes very bel canto, can you?
I don't think you have to develop anything. You just have to, because I didn't change anything for this. I just, it's like you would sing Mozart, or you would sing some Rossini also. There's an aria that is very Rossini-like. I just... I didn't have to make my voice like fixed or anything, that you hear sometimes in Baroque singers. No, nothing. And he never said, "Oh, you're out of style," or anything like that. So I think it works. I can do it. I don't know if going earlier, I would have to adjust something.
I'll wait till I see you with a lute.
Like,
It's clear enough, isn't it? A clean sound. But growing up, you were singing as a child, but you were basically singing around the town, singing in restaurants and things, weren't you?
Well, in a pub, I was singing. Well, I was singing in piano bars, in my mother's pub. She had administered a pub, and I was 14, 15.
What did you sing?
She didn't sing.
No, what did you sing then?
Well, I sang Beatles songs. I imitated Elvis Presley.
Oh.
1 for the mind, 2 for the show. And I did very well. And I sang Latin American songs, Peruvian songs. I had a whole repertoire. If I would work in a piano bar in London, I would earn a living, because I have a lot of repertoire.
What a good idea.
I'm a Beatles fan. I know all the songs. I grew up with the Beatles, not with the Beatles because I grew up I was born in 73, but with the music of the Beatles.
Yeah. Well, that's nice to know that you can pop out and do that if
I can sing. I can sing also, boleros, rancheras, Mexican rancheras. Put the hat on. So whenever you want, you can. I can do a show in tune.
I think we do the whole show.
With a mariachi band.
6 different people. Mariachi band, brilliant. You're signed up. But you write your thing, don't you?
Well, I don't. I used to compose when I was that age. I used to compose my own ballads and songs. But then I learned also to orchestrate and things. So I have composed two pieces, for example, but I have arranged for orchestra Peruvian songs to sing in different concerts and things. So I know how to arrange for orchestra.
But you did want to be a pop star, didn't you?
I wanted to, yes.
It's not too late.
Well, I would hate it now, I have to say, because you have to sell yourself so much. We have to sell ourselves also in the classical, but it's easier, I think. I had it, or that's the way I view it. But I think you would have to, in the pop, you would have to channel your style into what people would like. And in classical, you don't have that. You know, this is the repertoire. This is what it is. You know, and even the contemporary composers, they compose whatever they feel to. And normally people don't like it, but sometimes they do. And it's a more free, it's a more, I like it more, I have to say.
Well, we're relieved, I have to say. What changed you? What got you into the classical mode? Was it a teacher? Was it someone who said, I hear something special in your voice?
I was in the high school, and I was always singing in the chorus and everything. And then a teacher came, and he liked zarzuelas, Spanish operetas, let's say. Or
you say it beautifully. Say it again.
Well, that's not the way I say it because I'm from Latin America, but the Spanish say zarzuela. We would say zarzuelas, and they would be, what? It's zarzuelas. Anyway, that would be... This teacher made us sing zarzuelas, and we were like... people were like, what is that? And I was like, wow, this could help me in my pop. I said, yes. And I asked him to teach me how to sing like that. And he taught me exactly like that. He said, "Questa quella per me," sing. And I would sing exactly like that. You know, "Questa quella." And then I wanted to go to the conservatory because I wanted to know music. I wanted to make the most of it. So I went to the conservatory, also because it was free. And I was owing this guy a lot of money already. He says, go to the conservatory, it's free. So I went, and he taught me these arias, and I entered. And then I liked. I realized I liked the classical singing, and I liked classical music for the first time, because in my growing up until 17, I never really was in contact with classical music. And this is something that shows that classical music is just about your sensibility, and if you like it or not. It's not, sometimes we say, okay, we have to bring, of course, we have to bring people to the opera. That's fantastic. But it doesn't, either you like it or you don't like it. And it's about...
the opportunity, I think, people to bring the opportunity.
It's the opportunity to bring them in front of a performance and many times I've had young people come for the first time and then being completely enthusiastic about it, and then seeing them all the time when I sing back to the opera, and so.
Well, I saw you first the year of your debut. You made your debut in Pesaro, and then you came to Wexford to sing in Meyerbeer, L'Étoile du Nord, and I think all of us there in this very small opera house realized there was something
very steep, I remember.
Very steep, very terrifying.
Really fall, because it was so steep.
It was very steep, and if you had vertigo, you couldn't go to the opera.
You were like, ah.
At least you weren't there when they had a Spontini opera called La Vestale, and I was there that night, and there was a very steep stage, and it was all white. And the cleaning lady came in, it was all sticky so people could walk on it. And the cleaning lady came in, Bernard Levin's written about this, well, actually it was there as well, and the cleaning lady came in and thought, God, that's an awful mess, and so she polished it. And the soprano came in, went straight out the other side into the wings, took her shoes off, came out, peeled her tights off, and the opera house was so quiet you could hear her on the sweat of her heels falling into a Kaller Kozengas sacred flame, which gave all, and it was I don't remember anything from the second act because everyone went to the bar. Everyone went to the bar and didn't come back. But anyway, there's a new house there now. I hope you go back at some stage. But that was wonderful. And actually, we're going to hear some Rossini. just in a moment. But that moment at Pesaro was very important for you because you've been given a small role, someone got ill, and I think Luigi Ferrari came along and said, this is a very big role, can you do it? In what, 3 or 4 days?
Well, a little bit more, but it was, don't know exactly, but it was like a bit more than 10 days. But I had to learn the whole thing, and they already had staged the whole opera. And this is the role I did here, Mathilde Chabran, 2007, I think it was. Yes. It was my debut, and then I went to sing to La Scala. I went to sing at La Scala, and then to Wexford. No. After my debut in Pesaro, I went to Wexford.
Yeah, exactly.
And then to La Scala.
That's the right declension. Well, we're going to hear a little bit of The Barber now from Royal Opera House, 2008. I mean, in that production, of course, you have the fabulous Joyce Donato, we all love, and she broke her leg on the first night, and
break a leg. I told her break a leg.
Yes, an old theatrical saying.
Yeah,
and she went on.
Obedient. She went home?
No, she went on. She went on.
She went on. She went on.
Wheelchair.
She always goes on.
Would anything stop you going on? What would worry you?
Going on in my career, I love singing too much, and I would go on until, well, I love singing, but I'm not like if I don't sing, I die or anything like that.
Yeah.
No, I am very relaxed about it, and if I mean, I could stop also, but I love it very much, and I think it's the best job. It's not a job. I don't think it's the job is to take the planes and to be always trying to find a nice apartment for you and your family, which is so difficult, and you have to find it your own. I was lucky because I found a great couple who gave us their apartment, and they are also known in the opera house, but I shouldn't mention them, I think. But so we are very comfortable. But usually you have to find your own apartments and to fly. And this is the only annoying thing, because you're always dry in the airplane. And but the rest is great. Yeah.
What about singing Rossini particularly? You've sung so much Rossini; it suits your voice so well. You have the elasticity or the virtuosity as well as that wonderful sound.
I think it's amazing. I think I had more elasticity back there. I have a little bit less, but enough to be able to sing all the roles, because I just did Ortello at La Scala, and I think, but you know, maybe what I have now, it's a bit more of, I could, you know, have a bit more, or shine a bit more in the dramatic parts of Rossini, because I think within the opera, within Otello, or within, because the voice has become a bit more fuller in the center of the voice, and that makes your voice a bit less elastic, but a bit more full where it requires it, and also that permits me to have done Romeo, which I will do also in Vienna, and I will do Werther, and things
That's
like
quite demanding, but maybe a few years ago you mightn't have thought of that.
No. Not there, for example. No. I thought I would have never sang it, but I feel very comfortable with it, and I think it's also great because the fact that your voice changes a bit, doesn't have anything to do with you. It just changes a bit. You have to adjust your technique.
But is that something that's always come naturally to you? That
yes.
The sureness of those high notes.
Yes, you know there's a couple of high Cs in Orfeo. Yeah. Well, there's a high D also, but there's a couple of high Cs that are very similar to those. It's the same type of high Cs. Yes, of course you have to be able to it has to be something natural because and perfected, of course. The thing is a singer needs to have a good technique because we cannot sing much. It's not like a pianist. They can rehearse for 5 hours a day. And they do. Can't. Or a violinist. We can't. So, and in my case, I probably rehearse less than any other singer because I never sing between performances, never. Only sing when the orchestra, or when I have musical rehearsals with the conductor, and when the orchestra is rehearsing, which are the final rehearsals, then I sing full voice. But usually in rehearsals I never sing full voice, and I never sing full voice between performances, and yes, because this is one way of preserve your voice, because if you sing, I mean, you cannot sing, for example, Orfeo today and tomorrow again Orfeo. It's impossible. You would have a career of 5 years if you do that. Because it's this way of singing. I know that in musical you can do that, in the musical theater, because it's not completely, it's a bit more, let's say, less operatic, less impostato, no? And you have a microphone. In opera, you have to feel the whole, you know, and it's a pressure. The chords receive a pressure of air all the time, which is high, you know. So in a way, when we sing, then after we sing, I remember one time going to the doctor to see how the chords are after you sing. Of course, they are healthy. They have to be healthy, but they are different. They are a bit tired. They move in a different way. They have a vibration that is different. That's why many doctors say, don't go out after the performance, don't speak, because that's the worst. But I go anyway, because otherwise I won't have a life. And I like my wine. But anyway, it's like that. I mean, you have to, that's why a secure technique, you have to have it. Otherwise, you are constrained to rehearse a lot. Rehearse, and then you are, you don't last because
but there's pressure on quite a lot of young singers now, aren't there? I mean, I suppose in the more popular sphere, somebody is suddenly taken up and they don't have that security. I mean, what gave it to you? Because you went to the Curtis Institute. They all wanted you. I know when you went to the States and you sang, all the conservatories wanted you. You went to Curtis. But in the end, you were still going back home or checking with other people for technique rather than at the conservatory.
Actually, I don't have a voice teacher since 95. I haven't had a voice teacher since. My last voice teacher was at Curtis, but then I decided that, I met who is my agent now, Ernesto Palacio.
Who was a famous singer in his
yes.
day.
And he coached me, not a lot, but coached me, and I learned more working with him, who is not a teacher, than working with all the teachers I had. So I decided that I needed to work a lot by myself and have people like him, coaches, and see him, but work by myself with a recorder, and that was it.
And then you listen back.
Yeah, many times. You know what I do still? I listen. I record all my rehearsals. I listen to myself, and I work by myself in four walls, and I listen, and I work, and I find my solutions, and I am very much on my own, and I love that because I don't depend on other people. And of course, I learn from conductors, and of course, you learn the most from them and from coaches. But I remember, yes, I was telling you that even now, when I sing a concert or a recital or opera, I put my iPhone sometimes I put my iPhone in my pocket, recording it. And I record the whole performance. And then, one day before or the same day of the next performance, I listen to it. And it's great because you can hear your voice very close to you. Of course, you hear the pocket sometimes, or you're swearing. So, but you hear, because many times they don't record the performance, and I hear myself and I correct myself. This is the only way. You have to hear yourself in order to correct yourself. Yeah. And singers are the worst hearers, listeners, because you never listen to your full self, because our ears are inside and outside. Whereas if you play the violin, you hear what you're producing and when you play the... But singers don't. When you have a call, you hear like that. That's not your voice, that's your inner voice, which is nothing philosophical, it's just your inner voice. But we have an outer voice, and they mix, and this is what you hear. But the public hears just your outer voice. Yeah. So we are deviated, we don't hear ourselves well. That's why to record, we have a tool, because I'm sorry, you have to accept that voice teachers are not abundant nowadays, and good ones are counted with one hand. So if you don't use your technology, this is for young singers, it's no way you can improve.
That's a very, very sage piece of advice.
Yes, really, it's like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and very disciplined.
Yes, and sometimes I give lessons, I give master classes and lessons, one-to-one, and I'm with a soprano or a tenor, and we have already gone for 20 minutes on the lesson, and I said, "Are you recording yourself?" "No." I mean, why are you losing your time there? Why are you losing your time? You have to record, you have to listen to the lesson after. Because I might tell you something I hear, but then you have to double check it, if it's true, if you feel the same thing. I cannot understand now.
I'm sure you don't scare people when you're doing that, do you?
I'm very bad at teaching. I'm very bad, but I think some people don't want to, like, oh, thank you. But some students, they say, I want to. Some even say, I want to follow you. I want to, where you're singing, I want to be there. I will pay for everything, and I don't charge for lessons. I will never do. But some want to be really be treated, not bad, but strong. Yeah. And they improve, and they are the better ones, the best ones.
Quite right. I'm just thinking about all the other things you're doing. I wonder, was that the reason you have a new album out now, but you didn't do anything for about, 4 years? No new albums for about 4 years?
Yeah, last year I did L'Amour with this French artist, but before that I stopped for 3 years. I was pregnant, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well,
in a way I was
I'd be the first to congratulate you.
Yes.
The baby was lovely.
And, sorry, it's just candy. Yes.
I'm sorry, it's not enough for everybody.
Paternity. Yes, I didn't feel... Anyway, it's the industry is so in a bad shape. And, it's, the record industry, it's not like it was. I really didn't live that time when the record company was really, taking care of the artists. It's different now. Yes, I mean, some countries is better, like in Germany. I don't know, but people don't buy any more CDs, not a lot. And they take care more about crossover, and where the money is. I understand because it's a business, and they have to make money. They have investors and, shareholders and things like that.
Well, the latest one's very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Italian. Very good picture from the front with I think a nice Alfa Romeo sports car. And I was well hoping they'd given him the sports car, but I don't think so. It's just a prop.
It's just a prop. I have my sport car, which is not an oldie, but yeah, so it's a nice CD. I remember I told you today I was when I was in New York trying to get a conservatory that would give me a scholarship because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to be in New York, so I was singing in the subway. Not in the subway, in the Grand Central Terminal.
Oh, nice acoustic.
Yeah. And I was singing with my guitar. I was singing these Italian songs. And, I mean, not all of them, but some of them. And they would give me money. And I sang only one time. And it was like half an hour, which is half a CD, really. But I realized this is not good for me. Because when the trains were coming, nobody could hear you. And you had to be pushing your voice. But people were very interested. And they gave me a lot of money. $50. That was a lot for me. I could buy a lot of sandwiches, Snickers. You know what? I was eating Snickers. You know, Snickers is chocolate.
Chocolate bars, we say.
And, yeah, we're making publicity. And, you know these soups that you put water and they... These Chinese soups. This Snicker cost, I think, 25 cents or something like that. And the soup cost 99 cents. So that was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's not a healthy diet for a wonderful voice.
But, I was 20, 19, 20.
You can survive anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, are you writing anything at the moment? Are you writing more songs?
I'm writing my memories, my memoir.
Your memoirs?
No, I'm not writing any music. I used to orchestrate. If you see, there's a DVD with Dudamel. It's a concert in Disney Hall in LA, and there's a song called La Flor de la Canela, and that's my arrangement for orchestra. So this is what I do. More than composing, I arrange Peruvian music, orchestrate it, and it's great. I would do that if I wouldn't be a singer full time.
Yeah.
Because
no, you mustn't stop. You could be a tennis.
No, I won't
You
stop.
could be a tennis player.
And I'm not but I would do it for my pleasure because it's really beautiful to ride and to. Tennis player, I'm not good enough.
Is it true you and Roger Federer trade sort of stories and talk to each other?
Well, we know each other, but he played with my son, not tennis, because my son was, but they played. And I can say, you played with Federer. And yes, he has come, I think, to a performance here. I've come to see him. And I sometimes say happy birthday and things like that.
So do you...
It's difficult to have relations when you're traveling.
Yeah.
But I have a good bunch of friends that tomorrow, some like 10 friends come from Pesaro to visit me. So it's great. Yeah. They come all the time to many places, and
well, you get back.
Good to keep your friendship.
You and I get back to Peru because you've set up a foundation.
I'm going now.
After being inspired by Sistema,
yes,
which has helped so many children in South America. What's the focus of yours?
It's we create these centers where the children play in orchestras or sing in choruses, and these are poor children, so they are in a way rescued and let to a better life.
Yeah.
Because don't forget that poor children are especially poor inside because they feel they are nobody. They are forgotten by society. So giving them this opportunity to play in an orchestra, give them an instrument, changes their mindset. And they are poor because they don't have a lot, but they are not poor anymore in the head and in the spirit. And you have to see how they change. We have made a study and how they become better at school. It's a very serious study. They become better at school than the others that don't attend. They become better in things like mathematics, in behavior. They become better. They suffer less domestic violence. This is very interesting because the parents are not violent to them so much because they respect them. This is a very important thing. So they are like an example for their parents. They feel, they perceive themselves in a better way, more in a positive way. They are less violent to others, etc. This is so powerful.
What a triumph it's been, and thank you, Juan Diego Flórez. It's been a pleasure.